Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another boutique label battle. Today's battle is between Criterion and Eureka Masters of Cinema, and it's the Carol Theodore film Vampyr from 1932. This is the Criterion Blu-ray, Region A, spine number 437 from 2017, I believe that was released. And this is the Eureka Masters of Cinema brand new 90th anniversary edition, and this is spine number 262 in the Eureka Masters of Cinema range. This is a wonderful, strange, odd, experimental film by Dreyer, which wasn't very successful, but as a progenitor of the vampire mythos. Came out the year after the Universal Dracula, but was made round about the same time, and it's just dreamlike, trance-like. It has a dream logic to it, and it's absolutely wonderful. But we'll just start with the Criterion, because that was chronologically first. As I say, this is the Region A edition, and this one is quite sizable. So this comes with a book which has the script, and it also has the story by Sheridan Le Fanu, who doesn't sound very Irish, but he's an Irish writer. And the story Carmilla is one of the stories by him that Dreyer took elements of for his story. So it's about half and half between the script and the short story, which of course I haven't actually read the short story yet. And then we have the artwork of the actual old lady. There's a nice close-up of the skull. And then we just have the disc, and there's also a booklet which has the essays, and again with another wonderful image from the film. I mean, the film is absolutely gorgeous. Again, there's the famous the tolling bell and the scythe. There's an interview with the Baron, who put up the money for Dreyer and ended up being the lead. And as somebody says in the extras of one of these, he does look a little bit like H.P. Lovecraft, which just adds an extra element to the film. So what you get in the Criterion is high definition transfer of the original German language version. There's an alternate version with the English text. There's a German language version, as I say, and we get an audio commentary from Tony Raines, who's always very good with lots of information and historical background. We have Carol Theodore Dreyer, a 1966 documentary by Jürgen Roos, and we have a video essay from 2008 by scholar Caspar Tyberg on Dreyer's influences in creating Vampyr, and there's a radio broadcast from 1958 of Dreyer reading an essay about filmmaking, and the booklet contains essays by Mark Le Fanu and Kim Newman, and a piece on the restoration. So that's a tidy sum, as Lee Van Cleef might say in The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. So then we have the Eureka M.O.C Cinema 90th Anniversary Edition. I do have to say, the cover of the Eureka M.O.C Cinema isn't great. The Criterion cover is much nicer, and the artwork's really good on the Criterion edition. But what we get is a nice stiff box, and we get a lovely big thick book, Vampyr: The Strange Adventure of Alan Gray, and it is full of images and writings, as you'd expect. There is actually a section that's just images from the film. One of the most influential films, lots of things have been ripped off from it, and lots of parts of vampire mythos has been ripped off from it, including the actual idea of staking the vampire actually to the ground and through the vampire into the ground. You've got essays and pictures, and it's a really substantial book. And then we get to the actual Blu-ray. Again, I think this is the artwork, because I think this was previously in Eureka M.O.C Cinema DVD. And we have the disc, and then there's an image from the 1932 premiere. So this edition, it's an all new 2K restoration of the German version from 2020. And we have two commentaries, so you get the same Tony Raines one that's in the Criterion, which is very informative, as Tony Raines always is. But the second commentary is by Guillermo del Toro, and it's absolutely wonderful. I mean, I pretty much just watched it with the Tony Raines commentary and then went back and watched it with the Guillermo del Toro commentary. So del Toro, I mean, one of the things I love about del Toro is the fact that he's fairly self-depreciatory. I love people with talent who don't tell everybody how talented they are. He introduces himself by saying, you know, this commentary isn't going to be, you know, scholarly. This is like having a fat Mexican come round to your house, you feed him, and then he's going to talk to you about this film. And then proceeds to give you this wonderful commentary, again with self-depreciating humour, about the things he's taken from the film and not done very well, obviously. Like the character in Kronos is called Jesus Grey, after the character in Vampyr, and he's called Jesus or Jesus because Del Toro sees the Alan Gray character as a kind of messianic figure, kind of Jesus figure that's going to save the souls of the people in the film. Del Toro talks about medieval memento moris, and this is really what Vampyr is about and what it's kind of based on. It's a reminder that we're all going to die, and the fleeting nature of the pleasures of life. So he goes on, after saying, you know, this isn't going to be scholarly or anything, he gives a really wonderful, fun, but also educational commentary, not only on the filmmaking process, but on the background, the religious aspects, both Catholic and Lutheran. So it's an absolutely wonderful commentary. Del Toro, again, for me, is one of those guys you can really listen to all day long, and you're going to get a lot of enjoyment from his commentaries. It's the same visual essay by Casper Tyberg. There's a new video interview with Kim Newman on Vampyr, which again is fantastic. There's 2 new interviews with David Huckvale. One, a really extensive look at the whole score, as he goes through the whole score. He usually does things for Indicator with their Hammer box sets, going through scores, but this one is really extensive. He pretty much goes from the start of the film all the way through the whole score, and it's fascinating. Zeller's score in relation to Wagner and German romantic music of the time, through opera as well, and the motifs that he uses. He talks about how Zeller uses the tritone, or Diabolus in Musica, that band tritone, because it was the devil's music. And it's a proper in-depth look at the score. Like I say, it's pretty much the whole score he dissects, and it's absolutely fantastic. And he has a separate interview about Sheridan Le Fanu, the short stories, the author, and his influences. There's a Swedish writer that was an influence on him, the same way Le Fanu's writings were an influence on Dreyer when he was making Vampyr. So those extras are wonderful as well. And then with this short Masters of Cinema documentary about the Baron, Baron Nicholas de Gansberg, who plays Alan Gray in the film, because again he put up the money for Dreyer to actually make the film. So that's a fascinating piece as well. So the brand new release in Eureka is absolutely stuffed with extras. So you do get the same commentary and the same video essay that's in the Criterion, but you get a load of wonderful brand new items in the Eureka. The Del Toro commentary is absolutely essential. It's really good, and again, he's always self-depreciatory, which I appreciate, because you do get the impression that you would happily have Del Toro around your house and just watch some films and have a good time, as long as you fed him, obviously. So that's 2 versions of Vampyr. Like I say, the Criterion artwork for me is much better, but the contents of the Eureka Masters of Cinema is absolutely loaded. And yes, they've had some 5 extra years on the Criterion release. I would certainly say buy both, because they're both wonderful. But the new Eureka Masters of Cinema is absolutely a sensational release. One of the releases of the year. It is Region B only, so if you're region locked to Region A, better buy a multi-region player. So thanks very much for watching this boutique label battle, where I justify double dipping under the guise of a public health announcement, of which edition to purchase, but certainly in the case of Vampyr, buy both. I do have a feeling that this is going to sell out. I don't know how many copies they printed, but I've got a feeling this will probably sell out pretty quickly. I think it's officially due out on the 30th, but obviously if you've got pre-orders you should get it a little bit earlier. So thanks so much for watching. Please let me know what your favourite edition of Vampyr is, and hopefully you'll join me again for more boutique label battles. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films saying thanks for watching and farewell.